Welcome back to the Hubbard's Handmade Shop. I'm Ryan Hubbard. Today we're going to be finishing this outdoor patio bench made out of pine 2x4s. Like a lot of people are doing right now, we are trapped on lockdown due to the pandemic, and we're trying to save ourselves from trips to the store and stuff like that. So hopefully you also have some material at home that you can work with and find something to do. Today I'm just working with a bunch of 2x4s and cutting them down to size, and then I'll be taking them over to the table saw to cut off the rounded edges so that I can glue them all together. I always find this part kind of a tedious process, but just have to get all of these edges straight and parallel to each other, and that makes for a much easier glue up. Even though these are just 2x4s, it helps to start by cleaning everything up, and then the material will all come together nicely and by itself, as you can see. After I got everything all glued together and I let it set for a few days, I decided that I needed to straighten out the bottom of all of these 2x4s to make the feet the same. But instead of just cutting it with a saw, I'm planning on using the turbo plane a lot in this project. So I wanted to make like a rounded arc so that only the corners of these feet touch the ground. It was kind of difficult to remove a lot of this material, and so I didn't make that arc as big as I wanted. But then I just rounded over all of the edges the same to give it like a really big radius. And as you'll see, that really helped on these box corners where it comes together. It looks really awesome where the grain stands out. To give it one more interesting detail, I just made like a inverted dome here on both ends, and I just did that by drawing a circle with a compass and then cutting out as much of that area as I could. I had to go back after and sand it, first with a flap disc and then with a random orbit sander, just to give it a nice detail. This is the front of the bench, and I just don't like how big this gap is, so I'm filling it with some stainable wood fill. Okay, I'm gonna wait for that to dry and then sand it. Next step is stain. So after I did a whole bunch of sanding, I set up a couple of cameras and did these shots of putting the stain on. This is going on the front of the house, and as you'll notice in the final shots, it matches, or as closely as I could, it matches the front door. I love how this end grain just exploded as it absorbed that dye. It looks amazing. And then I set up one final shot of spraying on, I did 3 coats of this spray lacquer. I set up the camera as far away as I could with like a telephoto lens, because you definitely don't want to get that on your camera lens. And then here we go, out in its place in the front yard, and really like how it came out. It's just amazing, and it really adds to the front porch. Thank you for joining me today for this Hubbard's Handmade project. I hope that you and your family are staying home and staying safe. Let's get through this together.